12 minutes from now, you're going to know exactly what kind of content you should be posting on YouTube for your business, because I'm going to rank every type of content strategy for entrepreneurs and let you know exactly which one is best suited for you. Oh, and if we haven't met each other yet, hi, I'm a few blurry brown pixels on your screen, and I've grown a dozen YouTube channels and gotten hundreds of millions of views in the process. Watch me build. This strategy and format is best suited to coaching entrepreneurs who teach people anything from building sales funnels to businesses to software, and here's how it works. You'd start a video with an idea to achieve something. Then you'd brainstorm how you might get there, build a strategy, introduce challenges along the way, execute on that strategy, and then reveal and reflect on the results. It can be a super versatile format. For example, instead of watching me build, it could be watch me coach a beginner to winning a bodybuilding show. There's just so much depth to this format, and you can extend it into a series of videos which creates demand for returning viewers because they want to know the final result. And in turn, this starts to build up warm leads for your business, as long as you can actually deliver on the promised outcome at the beginning of the first video. And therein lies the main downside. If you fail to deliver on the intended result, it completely destroys the credibility that you're trying to build with your audience, since you were trying to prove you were able to do something and use that proof as rationale for the viewer buying whatever you're selling. So this is a huge time commitment and could be really expensive as well. But even if you're not an educational entrepreneur, the Watch Me Build format is great because there's a built-in narrative and payoff structure, which is absolutely awesome and exactly what you want if your videos are for entertainment purposes. And in this instance, it doesn't even matter if you fail, because the product that you sell doesn't even hinge on the viewer perceiving you as a subject matter expert. Watch Me Build gets S tier. YouTube Shorts. Just no. Let's move on. Seriously though, YouTube Shorts are only good for going viral. They don't generate high quality leads because it's not enough time for a viewer to start to like you, and you can't sell to them because a CTA on a short takes up way too much time and ruins viewer retention. F tier. The Podcaster. Everyone knows what a podcast is, so I'm not going to patronize you by explaining them to you, but my view here is kind of unique. Starting your own podcast is a terrible way to try and get leads and views on YouTube, unless you're already famous, because no one clicks on a 1 to 2 hour podcast that only has 10 views and is done by someone they've never heard of. So instead, if you want to appear on other people's podcasts because you have a lot to say, or just because you love the sound of your own voice a little bit too much, as long as you've already achieved something in your field, podcasts are a good idea, as long as you first reach out to low-level podcasters for an appearance. And I say low-level because there's no way you're going to appear on something like Rogan or Huberman without prior proof that you're good at interviews. So start with people who have a few thousand views on their podcast, and preferably ones that are really closely themed to your business area. Then after you've done a couple of those, you can use that to promote your own YouTube channel, which has non-podcast content on it. Even if people don't go directly from the podcast you appeared onto your channel, YouTube seems to have this weird feature where it can recognize someone's name being discussed a lot and starts to associate it with you. So if you pop up on a load of podcasts, YouTube will start to promote your own channel, assuming YouTube can figure out that your channel is videos of you, i.e. your name is your channel name, or you say your name a lot in videos. Podcasts build up a ridiculous amount of relationship quality, since there's just so much contact time with your audience, and you're continually dropping knowledge throughout the discussion. So starting your own podcasts gets F tier, but going on somebody else's podcasts, A tier. The Flexer. Flexers are people who want to overload their audience with their own credibility and encourage the audience to aspire to that same level of success that the content creator has. This is most commonly seen in the crypto and FX space, where most of the videos produced are simply someone showing off big trades or fancy cars or watches, and only vaguely hint about how they got there. Flexers are experts in selling the holiday, not the ugly flight it takes to get there where there's not enough leg room and everyone else in the plane is trying to steal your own dirty recycled plane air. Once the viewer is hooked with the aspiration of the Flexer's lifestyle, the content creator hits them with a call to action to join a free training program or even straight to buying whatever program they're selling, and the viewer is likely to buy that because the content creator will have built up lots of mystique around their secret methodology and about how groundbreaking it is and how much money they've made, blah blah blah. This strategy is best suited for entrepreneurs in the educational space who are targeting a young audience, as older adults don't tend to watch videos of people bragging about how much money they made unless they're going to explicitly tell you exactly how they did it in detail. The downside to the flexing strategy is it comes off super slimy and really pushy salesman-like, and you probably won't get a very good public reputation with the rest of your industry. Additionally, the lack of demonstrated knowledge in your free videos will put off a lot of potential customers, as they'll be skeptical on the substance of your training program. So I'd give the Flexer S tier for strangers, but for adults I'd give it about C tier. But there is a way to do the flexer right. So if instead of only flexing your success, you flex the capability of a product or service that you've created by demonstrating it in action, and do that whilst either entertaining or educating the viewer, now you will have built up credibility and demonstrated knowledge in a way that doesn't feel as overt from a sales point of view. As an extreme example of this, Brian Johnson, who's the guy who's famous for having the world's slowest speed of aging, made a really good video comparing and testing all of the different types of mainstream chocolate bars for both flavanol count and heavy metal contamination. This is a huge value add to the audience because that data isn't even published by the food producers. So health-conscious individuals needed Brian's video to make an informed purchasing decision about what kind of chocolate they wanted. After Brian established that almost all of the mainstream producers of chocolate had really low flavanol counts and high heavy metal contaminants, he then swooped in with his own product, which is a form of pure cocoa, which is super high in flavanols and has minimal contaminants. So this transparent compare and flex content strategy gets A tier. It would be S tier, but you can't make every video on your channel a comparison to other products on the market. Go deep and go long, ladies. Gents.
Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
This format is where you extensively cover topics in a very detail-oriented manner, and it's usually done via a very hands-on tutorial or via a whiteboard. And this is great for demonstrating your own knowledge, and it also loads you up on credibility with the viewer, because how else could you talk about something for so long if you didn't know a lot about it? The problem with this format is it's just not suitable to all niches, and it's definitely not suitable to really young audiences. You also need to be an expert rambler, and to be able to do that without a script for like 1 to 2 hours. For example, William Brown or Derek from More Plates More Dates is really good at this, but it's a super rare skill. A tier. Shortish and very sweet. This YouTube strategy involves you making videos within the classic 4 to 12 minute time frame, and it's great for high impact, fast paced delivering of value. It works for simple frameworks, tutorials, listicle videos, and it's especially suited to any business owner who sells a product or service that's specifically to save time for the customer. Whether that's literally a productivity and time management tool, or if it's something like an AI tool to automate part of a process. These videos work really well on those types of customers because they likely don't watch longer YouTube videos for the same reason that they want to buy that thing. They don't have time. So you will be really respectful of that time with little to no intro, lots of clear actionable points being made quickly, and a very fast wrap up at the end. This content fits really well into channel playlists because the shorter video length gives the viewer that feeling that they're blasting through content really quickly and that they haven't wasted a lot of time watching one video. The ultimate effect of this is that they end up spending more time watching your videos than they would have if you just made one really long video. So the viewer gets familiar with you and starts to associate you with really useful information very quickly. But there's 3 problems here. One is that it's hard to get viewers to click on a playlist, which means most viewers will just see one of your videos that's 4 to 12 minutes long, and that's not really enough time to build up rapport and give them a sales call to action. The second problem is it means producing a lot of videos and coming up with a lot of different video ideas, which you can solve by having a bunch of go-to video concepts and structures that help you create infinite video ideas. I've made a framework which does exactly that, and if you click the link in the description, I'll just send it over to you for free. Anyway, the third problem with short-ish videos on YouTube is the algorithm seems to have shifted in the last 12 to 18 months to favouring content that's ultra-long format, so videos between 30 minutes and 2 hours are being prioritised. Therefore, shortish and very sweet gets B tier. The starter upper involves showing your audience you starting your first business or a project, like building your first home, getting out of debt, or losing weight. This content strategy is great because it provides a clear narrative structure naturally from day one, which is your initial idea and call to adventure, the challenges you face along the way, and how you overcome those challenges, and eventually how you succeeded. This builds a huge amount of relatability with your audience, because you're starting at a similar stage to them, and you're going through the same challenges that they go through, which in turn means as you demonstrate that you're making progress on your goals, or you're proving how good the tools you're using are. This leads to a very natural form of selling where you could sell coaching on the skill you demonstrate on the channel, or you could sell the final product you built like a piece of software or a piece of artwork. It also avoids the very real pressure on YouTube today of over-exaggerating your current level of success or even straight up lying in order to get views. And because you're showing everything you've done along the way, you're building up loads of trust with your audience, so they won't be skeptical when you try to sell them something in the future. This strategy works best on a female audience since vlog and personal insight style content is significantly more popular with women. The downside here is the amount of documenting you need to do is super time consuming and limits your ability to move the business itself at pace, which then leads to a very long editing process and you have to deploy a ton of patience, since at first you won't have anything that you can reasonably sell to your audience because you won't have achieved anything yet and you'll have zero credibility. But that patience might actually turn out to benefit you, because when you do finally succeed and sell to your audience, you'll have a ton of goodwill built up, which you can cash in on, and will build up loads and loads of momentum and anticipation for when you actually release your product. So the starter upper gets A tier. Throwing spaghetti against the wall. This is the most common strategy business owners use on YouTube, and the main problem is it's not done intentionally. People usually start making YouTube videos in a really hurried way, and that results in a lot of very random video lengths, structures, and writing styles. Then YouTube tests all of those videos on a few different groups of people, the results are really messy, YouTube then doesn't know who to show your videos to in order to get good watch time, and then YouTube just gives up. This is why 90% of YouTube channels end up in this weird limbo state where they don't know what kind of YouTuber they are, and the audience doesn't know what kind of YouTuber they are, and then neither does YouTube itself. So if you want to throw spaghetti against the wall successfully, you need to do it in a delayed batched approach. That means producing videos in groups of 3 and then releasing the first 2 and then waiting until you get some initial analytics to decide if you need to change the third one or not. If you change the third video slightly and it doesn't work, then you can try a totally different content structure with the next 3 videos to see if that improves retention. But generally speaking, you're better off settling into a rhythm with your content structure, because that way you'll get better at producing specifically that style of content faster, and your audience will get comfortable with that format, making your videos easier for them to binge watch. So throwing spaghetti against the wall gets D tier. Going viral at all costs. If you sell a low-cost product like a protein powder or a low-cost group membership like school, then the only way you'll get enough sales volume is through going viral repeatedly and capturing the full audience of people who watch content in your niche and adjacent niches, not just a specific subsection of your niche. This means you have to package content in a format consumable by the most people possible, which in most cases means videos under 20 minutes, which are for entertainment or edutainment purposes. The level of content creation you'll need to achieve with a viral entertainment content strategy is really high, because the burden placed on you by the viewer to entertain them is much bigger than educational viewers. Since for educational content, as long as someone is learning what they want, they'll accept if a video is a little bit boring. But if you're a business owner who adopts the viral content strategy, you have to fully embrace the idea that you're an influencer, an entertainer, and a creative, because you'll need lots of original ideas to continue to go viral, which means going viral is only a good strategy if you're a good on-screen talent. That means you just need to be really charismatic and really likable, and that's just not for everyone. The one upside to going viral though is if the business you intend to promote doesn't land well with your audience, you can just settle for getting loads of AdSense revenue and you can go down a more traditional sponsor route. So viral at all costs gets C tier because, relatively speaking, it's a lot harder than niching down with educational content. The ruffle some feathers content strategy, aka the criticizer. The best example of this is Arvin Haddad. He makes luxury real estate critique videos where he breaks down all of the flaws in mansions that are featured on YouTube channels by people like Ryan Sohan and Enes Yilmaz'a. He then uses his platform to promote his coaching, which is targeted at helping homebuyers make the right purchasing decision. This style of content is going against the status quo, which spikes curiosity in people, giving these videos a really high click-through rate, which helps them get promoted in the algorithm. It's a great way of separating yourself from the rest of your industry so that the viewer sees you as a unique and original kind of person, but at the same time, it's likely to upset a lot of major players in your space, which will massively limit your ability to collaborate with other entrepreneurs and other creators. So this gets B tier. But how do you actually choose which of these content strategies to use for your business? Well, I explain my exact system for that in this video.